now, here's 5-Star Wrestling Podcast Eddie Valiant with Eddie Valiant's Hot Take.
All right, welcome everybody to another exciting edition of Eddie Valiant's Hot Take. I am your host, Eddie Valiant, and today we have some interesting topics to talk about. That's right, we had Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 2, which took place this past weekend. We also have some news on Big Cass, which is a big time news here. Clash of Champions was also this past weekend, but to hear Clash of Champions material, you're going to have to tune in to this week's edition of 5-Star Wrestling Podcast, which comes out every Friday. That's right, every single Friday, 5-Star Wrestling Podcast comes out, and you can follow us on Twitter at the number 5_star podcast. I, again, am your host, Eddie Valiant, and you can follow me on Twitter at Eddie Valiant82, and that's Eddie with 2 D's, 1 I, and an E. There you go, right at the end. So, again, Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 2. This was an interesting kind of concept that he had going on. For those of you that don't know, the whole thing from the logo to the way the ring was styled, there was no ropes. All centers back to this film that came out in the 80s called Bloodsport, which starred Jean-Claude Van Damme, which also happens to be one of my favorite action stars of all time. And it was a great movie. It was a tournament called the Kumite, and it's based off a true story, supposedly, of a real-life guy named Frank Dukes, not Ducks. It's like Dukes, like put up your Dukes. And anyway, so they did this wrestling event during WrestleMania weekend this past year, and it was the first or second Bloodsport. I don't know what the deal is. At one point, the event's called Bloodsport 2, but then they're saying that this is the third Bloodsport. I don't know, to be honest. But anyways, so the first one, in my opinion, was during WrestleMania weekend, and basically the rules are pretty simple. You cannot win a match by pinfall. You can only win by submission or a KO, right? So it makes it interesting, right? This is a little different because there's no ropes. Apparently, when you go to the outside, the referee does a fast 10 count. And I think it's up to his discretion as to whether he counts or not. But nonetheless, so again, you can only win by pin, fall, or submission. Eye pokes, dirty tactics that Ric Flair was famous for were not allowed in this wrestling event. Those, I believe, would get you disqualified automatically. So they tried to blend the MMA world with the wrestling world in this event, and it's kind of cool. The first match of the actual main card was Anthony Henry taking on Zachary Wentz. Zachary Wentz, the Rascals, the Impact tag team, and he's 1/3 of the Rascals. So he took on Anthony Henry, and it was pretty interesting. Henry won the fight overall by rear triangle choke. And I'm gonna warn you guys, like, you have to really be a fan of technical wrestling to really get into this event, because that's what it really was for the first, I don't know, however minutes. It was just real technical wrestling every match. The one match to me that got exciting was the Tim Thatcher versus Ikuhisa Minowa. Hopefully I'm saying that right. That's when it really got exciting, because you saw Tim Thatcher throwing, European uppercuts. He's slamming Minowa like it's a sports entertainment wrestling match. And that's when it actually got exciting for me. And then from there on, it was just exciting match after exciting match after exciting match. But before that match, we had Eric Hammer take on JR Kratos, and Hammer won his by a chin jack choke, or a chin lock choke. I don't know why I said chin jack. That was a really good fight. Then we had the second ever women's fight at Bloodsport. Nicole Savoy versus Allison Kay. Allison Kay countered an armbar into a crucifix, where then she started hammering Nicole Savoy with some deadly elbows. That's how that one ended. And so, it was by KO because it was referee stoppage. Anthony Corelli took on Simon Grimm. Now, for those of you that don't know who Anthony Corelli is Santino Marella. Apparently, he can't use his Santino name, so he goes by I'm assuming that's his real name, is Anthony Corelli. He took on Simon Grimm. Simon Grimm, you may remember, he was one half of the Vaudevillians in the WWE. And he was like, out of everybody there, man, he was getting booed like you wouldn't believe. And it was kind of fun. The one take I have on this fight is obviously Anthony Corelli got to showcase some amazing technical abilities, and he really showcased what he could do. And the WWE had him as a joke character who pulled a sock out of his pants. Sounds familiar, right? And it was a cobra, and he would just do, stupid wrestling entertainment tactics. But you see him at this event, and it was unbelievable. He did a really great job. I was quite surprised, and Simon Grimm still got booed all the way to the back. So again, like I said, the Thatcher match was next. He won by a neck crank. Davey Boy Smith fought Filthy Tom Lawler. And Davey Boy showcased, man, what he can do. Unbelievable. Probably the most underrated member of the Hart Foundation. There probably is. Or the new Hart Foundation, I should say. But one thing I gotta say, man, is I don't get Filthy Tom. Like, I've never seen anybody sweat as much as Filthy Tom Lawler. Like, I wonder if Filthy Tom Lawler sweats signing a check. Because, I mean, this the minute this dude, like, gets into the ring, it's like, I would hate, like, I'm very, like, I hate bodily fluids from other people. Or at least, like, I'm not into, like, the whole, I would be the worst wrestler in the world. Let's just put it that way, right? Because I'd be like, man, he sweats too much. I'm not wrestling that dude. Because I don't want his sweat rubbing all over my body. Sorry. I'd be like, I'm tapping out. But again, I've never seen somebody sweat so much in my life. Maybe me walking 5 feet to the refrigerator. Yeah, I've sweat pretty badly that way. But yeah, Filthy Tom Lawler. Sweaty Tom Lawler is what I'm calling him. Nonetheless, he lost after Davey Boy Smith knocked him out with a sit-out Liger bomb, or a power bomb for those of you who don't know what that is. Our next match was going to be an interesting one because it was Killer Kross, the former Impact wrestler, taking on Nick fucking Gage. And Nick Gage is more of a brawling style. This guy who robbed a bank, walked into a bank and robbed it, went to jail. He's back. He's wrestling. They had a pretty interesting match. They brawled it out for a little while. I thought Nick Gage was going to have the advantage. He nailed Killer Kross at one point with a huge headbutt that sent Kross to the mat. And I thought, oh crap, this is Gage's chance to take over. But Killer Kross eventually, right after that, just choked him out and got the win. Gage was out. Before Gage shook his hand, he threw his, he repped his set and then shook his hand, left. But then the interesting part of all this is what happens next is Killer Kross, for some reason, called out Dave Bautista for the next Bloodsport. I think it's awesome. Give us what we want. Come on, Dave. Give me what we want. Give us what we want. So we'll see if that happens. But I'd still be interested to see if Batista, because Batista's dabbled in the MMA world. We know that. And this is kind of what that event kind of represents. It's a blend of MMA and wrestling. So it'll be interesting to see if he actually takes the bait and decides to get in the ring with Killer Cross. I'm down. I'm down with it. Then our main event of the night was Dirty Daddy Chris Dickinson taking on Josh Barnett, and these guys battled it out, stole the show, and I'm not really surprised. It's Chris Dickinson. Come on. The dude is just unbelievable. He stole the show, in my opinion, at Beyond American Rana in his match with Daisuke Sakamoto. And he just steals the show wherever he is, whether it was Beyond's Uncharted Territory, whether it was ICW New York, wherever Chris Dickinson goes, man, that dude just commands the camera, commands the crowd. He's incredible. He deserves to be in AEW or WWE. Much like Killer Cross deserves to be a top guy. I'm sorry. Killer Cross is amazing. Deserves to be a top guy wherever it is, whether it be AEW, whether it be WWE, no matter where. But anyways, Josh Barnett won by KO. It was a leg strike that took out Chris Dickinson. And overall, it was one heck of an event. I can't really complain too much about it. It was fun. It was different. Would I order Bloodsport 3 if that comes around? Yeah, why not? I don't see why not. I enjoyed it. I wish I could see the first Bloodsport. They did show us in the pre-show. They showed us it was Dickinson versus Andy Williams. Andy Williams, the Every Time I Die guitar player. They fought at the first Bloodsport. We got to watch that match. Dickinson just handed him his ass, and it was over. So that was Bloodsport 2. Check it out. It's on the Fight TV app. I'm sure it'll be in other places too. It was definitely a fun and different event, and I look forward to more in the future. So I want to get into a different topic now, because Joey Janela just seems to be getting into the news, and kind of for the wrong reasons. I don't know. Like, he's pissing off Enzo and Cass. I don't get it. First it was Enzo. Apparently they were going to fight at a Blink-182 show. That, of course, didn't happen. And then their paths... But then Joey Janela's path crossed this time with Big Cass. So apparently on Saturday night, WrestlePro held an event which was supposed to signify a farewell for their owner, Pat Buck, who officially wrestled his last match because he's apparently going to be a producer for the WWE. So it was supposed to be a big night of celebration for anybody that ever had been involved with WrestlePro. Big Cass was there. Joey Janela was there. And apparently what happened was Big Cass, according to a lot of sources, had been acting very erratic, right? Very aggressive, very erratic, just not like himself, didn't understand why. And then at one point he confronted Joey Janela. Now, the idea is that he confronted Janela based on what Janela had done to Enzo at a Blink-182 concert. And the funny thing about all of this, they were saying in one of the news sources that I read, was that on Friday night, Janela and Big Cass were in the same locker room for Northeast Pro Wrestling, which is based out of Connecticut. And apparently they didn't have an issue. And there was no issue until this past Saturday night in New Jersey. Now, after that, he started just being an asshole in the locker room, basically. And Dan Maff, all right, who's a very intimidating looking guy, is said to be like one of the most professional kind of guys. He's all business. He doesn't mess around. Kind of stepped in and looked at WrestlePro staff and said, he needs to be calmed down, or else, I've got to step in. That apparently threw up warning signs to the WrestlePro staff that, oh man, if Maff is stepping in and is getting involved, then this is a serious situation, probably more serious than we thought, and something needs to be done. So what happens? Maff and Janela get moved to a private locker room because apparently Maff and Janela were having a match. So they were moved to a private locker room where they could discuss what they were going to do in their match. Well, that doesn't stop there because apparently Cass starts accusing everybody of stealing a sweater. And if they don't give it back, he's going to take care of the locker room, which pretty much means he's threatening to beat the crap out of everybody in the locker room. All right, well, now he gets moved into a locker room with SCU, SoCal Uncensored or whatever the heck they call themselves, and Pat Buck, who's the guy this whole event is paying tribute to. So now he's in this locker room with them, and now he's accusing them of stealing his stuff. And Pat Buck apparently turns to Cass and says, hey, man, what's the deal? Or something along that nature. I'm paraphrasing. Obviously, I don't know what was really said between, the two of them. And apparently Cass kind of looked at him and said, what are you going to do? Spit on him. And Pat Buck did what any normal human being in the world would do after they were spit on. And they laid out Big Cass with one punch. So apparently they're saying that after that happened, Cass was kind of on the ground asking kind of like, hey, man, what the hell? What was that for? Or like, what did I do? So obviously something was wrong with Big Cass that we obviously can't explain. We don't know what the hell the deal is with Big Cass. He was eventually escorted out. Apparently the venue that they were at is right next door to a police station. So it wasn't too hard to get police officers to escort his big ass out of there. Hopefully, there's an explanation that'll come within the next couple days. I'm sure there will be. And if there is, you're definitely going to hear about it on 5 Star Wrestling Podcast. I wanted to kind of say, this is kind of not surprising, thinking that Joey Janela was involved in this somehow. But if the sources are true, then obviously he had nothing to do with it. And Janela was just, an innocent bystander, just sitting there trying to get ready for a match that he was going to have with Dan Maff, and all of a sudden Big Cass thinking, you know what, I'm going to get revenge for Enzo. Had another thing coming, and that's the bottom line. So, shame on Big Cass. That's all I'm gonna say. That's the truth. So now I want to move on because we're done with Big Cass. I want to move on to something, and I remember describing on the first hot take that I did an interview on that I had done a lot of interviews in my past, right? I'd interviewed rock stars. I'd interviewed television people, Eddie Munster, Butch Patrick. I interviewed him. I've interviewed plenty. Wrestler Brutal Bob Evans. That was on another episode of Hot Take. But there was an interview in a session that I did that I was never quite satisfied with because the audio was always messed up. And the audio is still messed up on the video version of the interview. And I finally found a version of this interview that has perfect audio. And apparently I fixed it. I don't know how I fixed it, but I fixed it, and it's there. The interview is with a rock band that I love called Seven Dust. And the interview is with their singer LJ, or LaJohn Witherspoon. Now, for those of you wondering, Seven Dust had a lot of involvements with the WWE. A bunch of their songs were theme songs for various pay-per-views, like Enemy, which was used for WWE Unforgiven 2003, and so on and so forth. So, I've decided that I'm going to present to you this interview because I want it out there and I want people to be able to hear it. It's a quick interview. It's not that long. The interview was done more in the idea of TV time, if you want to kind of get what I'm saying. So you had to think in terms of segments, right? So you're doing a music video show. You don't want your interviews to go on that long because the point of the show is obviously the music videos. So the interview isn't terribly long, but I at least wanted it out there because I feel it deserves to be out there. So I'm presenting it all to you here. It was done at the Rockstar Uproar Festival that had Seven Dust, had Black Tide, it had various other bands there that night. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. And here it is, my interview with LJ of Seven Dust.
All right, what's up, everybody? I'm here with LJ from Seven Dust. What's going on?
Nothing much, hanging out today. A beautiful day, man. We're happy to be here, and we're glad everyone's safe after the storm, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Well, the hurricane couldn't keep this show down.
Right on.
That's what I got to say. All right. I've seen you guys back at Ozfest 98, all the way to like the Rock the Inks,
Right.
all the different types of festival-type shows. What makes this one different from, like, say, some of the other ones?
I mean, it's our first time doing the Uproar Tour. It's the bands are different. I'm enjoying myself. I'm having a great time. The second stage has been a lot of fun, and actually on the off-day shows, we take pretty much everyone with us, so it's great for us. The energy's good. You always, the vendors are out on these tours, so we go shopping. Eat all the bad food. So we try to work out, make sure you counteract it. But it's great for us. It's fun.
How do you guys find the time to work out? Like
we're on daddy, so we're on that schedule where we're up pretty early. We already hit the gym probably
got
around
to that stage yet.
We hit it at about 9 o'clock, and we'll get a little nap in here and there, and naps are good for you when you're out here on the road. But we try to make sure that time for that.
All right. You guys have gone through a lot of personal hardships, a lot of things that tried to be roadblocks for you guys. How have you guys stayed so strong over the years?
I think with prayer, determination, feeling that we were destined to do this in a sense,
Okay.
It's the only thing that we know. So this is what we do. We love it. It's our passion.
Okay. All right. The album Cold Day Memories almost been out for 2 years.
Oh wow.
Are you guys planning on recording another record?
Yes, sir. We're actually in the makes of doing that right now.
Okay. All right. When do you expect?
I don't know. We're taking our time. We're taking our time. But you know how we do it. We'll do it and it'll come right out. But right now we're thinking about really taking our time and getting back to family and not feeling rushed.
Okay. All right. What can fans expect from Seven Dust on the Uproar Festival?
Man, just us doing 30 minutes of, some hard-hitting songs, a lot of fun, a lot of energy, and just a rock and roll show.
All right. Well, let's check out the video for Unraveling, and we'll be right back with LJ from Seven Dust.
Peace.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're still here with LJ. So, LJ.
Hey, I'm here. What's up?
You guys came out in a time when CDs was still the cool thing to buy.
Right on.
You
know what? Actually, we came out at a time where TVT Records did a thing with the cassette tape of our songs, and we still have those at home somewhere, but that was really cool, man. Yeah, we're from the old school, I guess. I like it. I still use CDs on the jukebox I got at home, sorry.
What do you guys think of, the way the industry's gone with iTunes, the whole digital downloading? Has it changed the game?
Absolutely, man. I tell you what, someone else was talking about this, and I said, I'm an old school guy, but you can't help but to change with the times, with everything that's going on. Someone said something, I think, was it Mick Jagger, or somebody said something recently where the day of, us doing it the way we do it's going to be over. And I said, in a sense it is, but we could still get on reel to reel and do it the way, if you want to. So there's a way that you can do it, but I think you still have to use that internet because it's so amazing, All
right. Do you think with the record labels, because you guys started your own, do you think the industry is sort of dropped the ball with the whole way the downloading happened?
Well, I don't want to say I don't know if the industry dropped the ball, but somebody definitely let it get away. And, it makes things a lot harder. But you know what, man? I think that we feel very blessed to be able to still be a part of the industry so long. And I tell you, I know the exact reason why. I don't say fans, I say our friends and family that have supported us and changed our lives. That's the reason that we are relevant. So thank you.
Okay, all right. So, not to like sort of say that it's a, because I hear a lot of people like Rob Zombie, claim that the record industry is sort of dying. Is it? But do you think it is? Is it?
I mean, depending on if you mean labels and stuff, they kind of definitely, I see more and more of them leaving. So I hope the industry, we need music, man. What are we going to do?
I know, no kidding.
I tell you what, we'll always find a way to make sure that we record our music and we get it out to the people. May it be internet, CDs, who knows what's going to happen with that, but we'll always be able to do it, even if we have to go back to tapes, man. Just, pull your tape players out, y'all.
Well, if you remember, LJ, so you remember back in the day, tape trading, big time discovering bands. The internet obviously opened the door for people to discover bands everywhere.
Definitely, I love it. I think that's a great vehicle, especially when you have pretty much half the world using it, man. It's awesome, And then you can't say that the music industry is leaving because, well, in a sense, it's still there, but it's in a different realm. You know what I mean? Because like you just said, you're finding and discovering bands that you would never have the time or the money or even a chance to go see, or maybe they're not even playing out. Maybe it's some kid sitting in his room playing guitar. That's amazing that, we discover. So I think it is a great vehicle.
All right. My last question for you.
Oh, man, don't make it over.
I wish I could have you on forever, but I can't.
Say it ain't so. That's weird. Isn't that a Daryl Hall and John Oates song? Say it ain't so. It isn't so. Sorry, we're just listening to Daryl Hall and John Oates. That's how we do it before a show.
Is there a band that you guys haven't toured with that you're like, man, I would love to tour with those guys?
Oh, man, we're old. We've been pretty much toured with every. Now, you know what? I would like to do something like Perfect Circle.
Okay.
I would really like to do something, the original Thin Lizzy, but the one together now, I would like to do something like that, what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Old school, but I'm pretty much just a music lover. And if you could get a bill together with R&B to rock to rap to country, and that's what I'm all about, man. I love music. I'm a music lover, from metal to everything, and that's what I'm about, man. And I think that's what brings us together in times. And not one certain type of music, but all kind of music. And it doesn't always have to be heavy, and it can be soft and still be the heaviest stuff that you've ever heard and dealt with.
The message behind it.
Yeah, exactly, man. I got chill bumps with that. But I think music is a healer for us, and for me, with being in a recession, and it definitely affects all of us, not just everybody. Just to be honest with you, that I can't believe that people are still taking the time and finding the money some kind of way to come out and support acts. And for me, I think that it gives us just an hour or 2 or 3 hours or however long this thing is to forget about all those crazy things that we have to deal with every day. So it's healing us, man. And I think that's something that we'll always keep no matter what avenue the industry goes in. Does that make sense?
Definitely makes sense. Cool. All right, well, I want to thank you, LJ, for coming on.
No, pleasure, man. Uproar.
All right.
Rockstar Energy, yeah. We got to get some motorcycles out in this mountain.
Hell yeah. All right, check out Seven Dust. Go online. Do it.